Across the vast lands of China lie mountains that seem to rise beyond reality. Where clouds touch ancient stone and silence holds the memory of gods. From the crimson ridges of Gowi to the sacred summit of Kailash, each peak is a living legend carved by time. These are not just places to see, but realms to feel, where faith, nature, and eternity meet. Welcome to China's hidden sanctuaries, where the earth ends and heaven begins. Hidden deep within the heart of Hunan Province, Gowi Ridge is a place where the earth itself seems to have frozen mid-motion. As if a red-skinned dragon had fallen asleep beneath the sun. Its long, undulating ridges rise and fall like waves turned to stone. Their surfaces bare and smooth, without trees or soil, only raw sandstone glowing crimson under the afternoon light. When seen from above, the mountain appears alive, coiling endlessly through mist and shadow. Locals call it the ladder to heaven, and perhaps they are right. The narrow trail that runs along the ridge is scarcely wider than a single step. Carved into steep slopes that plunge hundreds of meters into the valleys below. Walking here is not simply a hike. It is an act of balance between courage and awe. Every gust of wind reminds you how small human strength is beside the patience of rock and time. At sunset, the entire landscape transforms. The cliffs bleed into deep scarlet, and the valleys are swallowed by gold. Shadows dance like ancient spirits, returning to claim their mountain once more. Few travelers ever reach this place, for Gowi Ridge remains one of China's best-kept secrets. But those who stand upon its spine often say the same thing. For one fleeting moment, they no longer know whether they are standing on earth or walking the back of a sleeping dragon. Here, in the silence between two breaths, you realize that some mountains were never meant to be conquered, only to be remembered. There are mountains you climb and mountains you dream of. Huangshan belongs to the latter. Its jagged granite peaks pierce the clouds like brushstrokes from a celestial painter. Rising through the misty heart of Anhui province, it is said that another mountain will never again move anyone who has seen Huangshan. Standing before its sheer cliffs and twisted pines, one begins to understand why poets, monks, and emperors have worshipped its beauty for more than 1,000 years. Here, nature has composed its own symphony. Pines grow from impossible angles. Gripping the edges of cliffs that hang above seas of drifting cloud. The air is cool, filled with the scent of stone and rain. As the sun rises, the peaks emerge one by one through the fog. Silver at first, then gold, like a scroll of ink and light slowly unrolling before your eyes. It is a living painting, changing with every breath of wind. In winter, snow crowns the ridges in quiet perfection. In autumn, the forest burns with amber and red. Each season rewrites the landscape, yet the soul of the mountain remains unchanged. Serene, eternal, untouched. To walk the narrow paths of Huangshan is to step inside the imagination of nature itself, where time slows and sound dissolves. When dusk falls and the last light fades through the clouds, travelers often stop and whisper. Unsure whether they are watching the mountain or whether the mountain is watching them. Huangshan does not ask to be conquered. It simply invites you to listen to the silence that has inspired China's most timeless poems. Rising above a sea of clouds in Guizhou province, Fanjing is a mountain where heaven and earth seem to touch. It is both a natural wonder and a sacred realm, a sanctuary of silence shrouded in mist and legend. At 2,572 meters high, it stands as the highest peak of the Wuling range, its slopes cloaked in emerald forests and drifting clouds that move like breath over the land. But what makes Fanjing unforgettable is not its height. It is the miracle at its summit. Two ancient temples perch on twin pinnacles of red rock, separated by a deep, narrow chasm. Between them stretches a single stone bridge, a path so narrow that only one person can cross at a time. Walking across it feels like stepping between two worlds, one rooted in earth, the other suspended in eternity. From here, the landscape falls away into an ocean of mist where peaks rise and fade like islands of dreams. Pilgrims have climbed the mountain for centuries, believing it to be the spiritual seat of Maitreya, the Buddha of the future. The journey upward is long and humbling. More than 8,000 stone steps, winding through bamboo groves, waterfalls, and whispering clouds. Every step is a meditation, every breath a prayer. At dawn, sunlight spills over the temples, painting the rocks in gold and the sky in rose. Bells echo faintly through the valleys below, mingling with the cry of distant birds. In that moment, the boundary between mortal and divine disappears. Fanjing is not a mountain to conquer, but a revelation to experience. A reminder that the way to heaven has always begun on earth, one step at a time. Hidden in the misty valleys of Zhangjiajie, Wuling feels less like a landscape on earth and more like a dream suspended between sky and stone. Thousands of slender sandstone pillars rise straight from the forest, their tops lost in drifting clouds. Some soar higher than 200 meters, so narrow that pine trees cling to their crests like brushstrokes on a vertical canvas. When the morning fog rolls in, the entire valley transforms into a floating kingdom, silent, endless, and impossibly beautiful. This otherworldly place stretches across 260 square kilometers, a masterpiece sculpted by wind and rain over millions of years. Canyons plunge into hidden rivers, caves glimmer with underground lakes, and natural stone bridges arch gracefully between towers. Every turn reveals another impossible formation, as if nature itself had turned to art. It's no wonder Wuling Yuan became the inspiration for the floating mountains in Avatar. A world where gravity seems to have forgotten its purpose. Visitors can ascend the mountain aboard the Beilong elevator, the world's highest outdoor lift. Climbing more than 300 meters along a sheer cliff face. As the glass cabin rises through mist and sunlight, the view below dissolves into clouds. Leaving only the feeling of drifting between heaven and earth. At sunset, the pillars ignite with golden light, their shadows stretching across the valley like ancient guardians. The air cools, cicadas hum, and the forest exhales. For a moment, everything is still, as if time itself had paused to admire its own creation. In Wuling Yuan, you do not simply witness nature's wonder. You step into a realm where the impossible becomes real, and the earth remembers how to dream. High above the misty plains of Sichuan rises Mount Emei, a place where earth and heaven seem to meet in prayer. It is one of China's 4 sacred Buddhist mountains, a realm where clouds swirl around ancient temples and the sound of chanting drifts through forests older than memory. To ascend its 3,099-meter summit is not merely a physical journey, but a pilgrimage of the spirit. A path that leads from the mortal world into the heart of silence. The climb begins in the shadow of cedar and bamboo, where moss-covered steps wind endlessly upward. Along the way, golden roofs glimmer faintly through the fog, and playful Emei monkeys leap among the trees, as if guarding the sacred path. Pilgrims pause to offer incense at small shrines carved into stone. Their prayers carried upward on trails of smoke that disappear into the clouds. At the very top lies the golden summit, a temple shimmering above a sea of mist. There, a colossal statue of Samantabhadra, the bodhisattva of wisdom, rides a white elephant on a lotus pedestal, his gaze turned toward the rising sun. When dawn breaks, the mountain bursts into fire, crimson and gold, and below, waves of cloud roll like the ocean of enlightenment itself. Some say that in that moment, the Buddha's halo appears. A rare circle of rainbow light that surrounds one's shadow. A vision of awakening granted only to the pure of heart. To stand on Emei is to feel both infinite and small, held between sky and earth. Here, faith glows not in temples or statues, but in the quiet realization that the light one seeks has always lived within. Hidden deep within the Tibetan plateau of western Sichuan lies Yading, a sanctuary so pure it feels untouched by time. Surrounded by endless snow peaks and turquoise lakes, this highland paradise is often called the last Shangri-La, a place where the world still breathes in silence. At dawn, the mountains glow like fire beneath the rising sun. Chenrezig, Jampelyang, and Chanadorye. Three sacred peaks revered in Tibetan Buddhism as the embodiment of compassion, wisdom, and power. Their white summits shimmer above the clouds, reflected perfectly in the jade waters below. The air here is thin, but alive. Prayer flags flutter in the wind, their colors carrying blessings across the valley. Pilgrims circle the holy mountains in quiet devotion. Following ancient paths that wind through alpine meadows and crystal streams. At every turn, the land seems to whisper its own mantras. The hum of bees, the rustle of grass, the distant cry of a yak bell echoing through eternity. Yading's lakes are jewels set in the crown of the Himalayas. The Milk Lake. Calm and milky blue. And the Five-Color Lake, whose surface changes from sapphire to emerald with the shifting light. Around them stretch endless meadows where wildflowers bloom against the cold wind, painting the barren plateau with color. There are no cities here, no noise, no rush, only the rhythm of the earth. When night falls, the sky opens like a vast window of stars, so close you could almost touch them. In Yading, you do not simply visit nature, you return to it. It is a place where the heart slows, the soul breathes, and the distance between heaven and earth disappears. From the fiery ridges of Hunan to the sacred snows of Tibet, these mountains are more than landscapes. They are living temples of stone, wind, and silence. Each peak carries a heartbeat, a story of faith, endurance, and wonder. Perhaps the greatest journey is not to climb them, but to listen to the whisper of clouds, the rhythm of footsteps, the stillness that lingers between earth and sky. Because somewhere along these paths, between awe and peace, you might just find yourself.